Welcome to Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with national and local thought leaders on issues impacting the South Florida Black community. Now introducing our host, Anne-Marie Sorrell.
Welcome to Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. Today, I am joined by Rodrick Miller, who is the President and CEO of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. Welcome, Rodrick.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We are happy to have you here. You are new to the area, from my understanding, as well as new to your role. You're about 6 months in, and I'm really excited to just kind of dive into our conversation about your background, how you ended up getting here to South Florida, particularly Miami-Dade County, and taking on this role of the presidency of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. So let's just hop right in. Rodrick, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and your brief journey to this current role.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really glad to be in Miami, in Miami-Dade, leading the Beacon Council. I've been doing this kind of work for about 20 years. Most recently, I led the economic recovery of Puerto Rico after Hurricanes Maria and Irma as the CEO of Invest Puerto Rico. Prior to that, I was the CEO of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation during and after the bankruptcy of the city. And prior to that, I led the recovery of New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, and was in assorted other roles in economic development prior to that. I love economic development. Like I said, been doing it 20 years, but I really stumbled into this field. But it's really been a passion of mine. At 12 years old, I lived in Bad Kreuznach, West Germany, and I was there when the wall came down. And I remember meeting the young people that were coming from Eastern Europe and Eastern Germany and hearing their stories of kind of economic struggle. And then later, my dad was in the military, and later we lived in El Paso, Texas. I saw poverty in the border context, and in South Carolina in the outhouse context. But all of those things led me to, it doesn't really make sense to have the types of poverty and challenges that people have when there is so much wealth in the world. And economic development's really been a great channel to drive change in communities and really bring about opportunities. So glad to be here.
Absolutely. And we're going to dive a little bit more into economics and economic development. But before we do that, for those in our audience who may not be familiar with the Miami-Dade Beacon Council and what your function is as an economic development entity, can you tell us a little bit more about the Beacon Council, what your function is, what you all do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, the Beacon Council is the official public-private partnership charged with building the economy of Miami-Dade County. And we typically measure our impact and performance in terms of new jobs to the market, new jobs and private investment. Why? Because you want more job opportunities and you want more private investment driving the economy, and ideally jobs at higher levels. So we do that. So we say we essentially do three things. We shape the market, right? So we want the market to be what, we want to position the market so that it's fundamentally strong. We market Miami-Dade County, so we tell a story about our economy and how it works, and then we support companies to help the market grow. This year is actually a banner year for the organization, which has been around 37 years, with over 5,000 new jobs just this year that we brought to Miami-Dade County with an average wage of about $100,000 a year. And last year was also a banner year with about 4,000 new jobs. So that's what we do. Now, what's interesting about that is, while that's kind of the core metric of success, I think it takes a lot more than just bringing new jobs and new capital investment for our economy to be successful. So we try to think about the economy comprehensively, not just jobs and investment. We want to think about how do we build an economy that's sustainable. So measured growth year over year and an ability to actually manage and navigate that growth, the right mix of companies, et cetera. We want to build an economy that's inclusive. So we want an economy where everyone can participate, no matter whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whether you live in Homestead or whether you live in Miami or whether you live in Miami Gardens or Doral, right? Everybody should be an inclusive economy, and we want an economy that's competitive, that's fundamentally a good place for businesses and for people to live and invest and grow. So that's what the Beacon Council does.
Thank you for that overview, and we'll dive into some programs further in our discussion. But before we do that, as a leader coming in, and your predecessor was definitely a legend in Miami-Dade County. But as a new leader with such a high-profile organization, and such an important, critical organization to the business community and the local economy as a whole, you definitely have to be some type of visionary, I would imagine, right? And so I would, love to hear what, your vision is as the new leader and, maybe some of your top priorities for the Beacon Council.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I hit on it a little bit, but I'll go a little deeper. So whenever I tackle an opportunity or a job like this, the first thing you really want to do is get a good assessment of where the market currently stands. And so over the past 6 months, I've had a chance to really delve into the assets in Miami-Dade County, whether it's the universities, whether it's the utilities, whether it's the hospitals, because the best place to build an economy is from a foundation that you've already got established. So we've got a great foundation established of assets. I say Miami has the kiss of God. It's like, it's beautiful people, beautiful weather, great assets, strategic location. So there is a value proposition. And at the core of building an economy is making sure that you offer a value where a dollar invested in your market is going to yield more than a dollar elsewhere. Thing about Miami, though, I often compare it to my 17-year-old kid. He challenged me to a race on Christmas. And, I thought I was going to dust him. Of course I didn't, right? And I called my sister and she said, "You're not 25 and he's not 8. And I called my dad and he said, "You're lucky you're not hurt." When you think about you're lucky you're not hurt racing with this young kid, when you think about Miami, it's kind of like that kid because it's only about 130 years old, South Florida. So in an economic competition, we're competing against markets that are much bigger, much stronger. We're not a second-tier market. We're competing against New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco. Much like that 16-year-old kid dusted me and nobody was surprised, we should dust those markets every time in an economic competition. Right now, we won't, though. And the reason why we won't is because we're not coordinated enough and strategic enough about where we want to go. Also, like a 17-year-old kid, you say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I don't know. I think we've got some work to do to determine what kind of place we want this to be and how we make it happen. And so my priorities, there are a few that are top of mind. One is no organization can lead an economic recovery or an economic growth in a vat. You've got to work in collaborations. So for me, one of the top priority for Beacon Council is building much deeper collaborations across this community, whether that's with the universities, hospitals, but in particular, even with municipalities. We've got 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade County. How do we work with them to actually ensure that all of them have the job opportunities for their residents and their citizens? So that's one priority, deeper collaboration. Another is that we've got to raise our voices on critical issues that historically we may not have pushed on. Things such as infrastructure and housing and transportation, those sorts of things are the lifeblood of this community. And we can't be a world-class community without having world-class capacity in those respects. So you're going to hear a lot more from Beacon as it relates to pushing quality housing infrastructure. The third thing, that I would mention that's vitally important, I talked about sustainable, inclusive, and competitive. We've got to be an inclusive economy. While we're one of the most diverse markets in the country with 57% of the population being born outside of the United States and 73% of businesses being owned by immigrants, small businesses being owned by immigrants, it's still not an inclusive economy. There are a lot of people left on the sidelines, and I think Beacon has to be much more vocal about how we do that. So those are the kinds of things that are top of mind for us, and it's going to take work to get there, but we're committed to it.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely want to dive a little deeper into Florida's economy and its impact now and in the future, and how that plays into what the Beacon Council is set out to do and your top priorities. But we will do that after this brief commercial break. Stay with me, Rod.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Desmond Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. Desmond Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Your organization's ability to thrive is dependent upon your vision, hard work, and the people you employ. Wolf Creek Consulting is a top-rated executive staffing firm specializing in placing professionals in finance, IT, healthcare, and construction. We're a boutique executive staffing firm that focuses on recruiting the best and brightest candidates that are not aggressively pursuing opportunities, but are keeping their options open. From recruitment to workforce management, we offer solutions that reduce your human cost and turnover. We work with clients under several different and temp to hire. Our clients are our partners, and we work to understand the job requirements and skills required for a candidate to be successful. Intelligent Staffing Solutions. To learn more, please give us a call.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
My Miami? It's a one-of-a-kind combination of bold, vibrant art that's made to be free, to go on stages, walls, or become them. It all leads me to a world filled with warm waters and extraordinary trails. This is when I'm at my best, when I'm embracing my art venture side. This is my Miami. What's yours?
Welcome back, Rodrick. As stated before the commercial break, there are many spectators who think that Florida's economy is in trouble. And there are many factors as to why this is the thought process, including political factors and some of the situations that has happened in our legislation in the last year, as well as environmental factors with hurricanes, sea level rise, and we can't forget about factors such as affordable housing. Many people are leaving our state because it's unaffordable due to inflation, as well as lack of housing, whether it's affordable rents or affordable home purchases. How do you see this impacting the work that you do and your priorities at the Miami-Dade Beacon Council, as well as from your perspective, what do you think the future of Florida's economy is from a short-term perspective and a long-term perspective?
Thanks so much for that question. It's really at the core of the work that we do. One of the things that's important, to mention, I mentioned sustainable, inclusive, and competitive. And the challenges that you talked about speak really to the core issue of competitiveness, which is what makes an economy work. And while we have the challenges here in South Florida and in the state, we're really part of a bigger global and national series of challenges. So understanding the interconnectedness between what's happening here and things around the globe is a big part of how we tackle that question. So when we think about competitiveness, there are about 5 different things that we look at as levers to push and pull on the economy. We look at spatial efficiency, which is the relationship between where people live, where they work, the infrastructure that gets them there, and amenities that they have for their quality of life. We look at industries, which are what are the sectors that are growing and shrinking and what's making them grow and shrink. We look at governance, which is not exactly the same as government. Governance in this context is the ability to do a transaction. How easy is it to get a deal done, to do a real estate development, to open or launch a business? We look at human capital is the most important factor. And then we also look at innovation and entrepreneurship. What's the startup, stay up, and scale up activity of businesses in our market? And when you look at those things, Florida is in a particularly unique position. So one of the things I would start with is that as a company whose primary objective is to recruit new companies to the market, more than half or roughly half of our deal flow comes from international markets in South Florida, or in Miami in particular. And what that means, is, we have relationships throughout Latin America and the rest of the globe, bringing companies here. With Enterprise Florida going away, what we're seeing now is that we're going to have to figure out how to get our own representation in these global markets. So what does that look like? What markets do we want to be in? How do we recruit companies from that perspective? And attracting global companies with some of the challenges related to immigration and policies that are coming out at the state level around immigration really is a challenge to the brand. We just completed a perception survey maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, where they did a survey of national site selectors and CEOs. What do they think of Miami as a place for investment? And the long and short of it is they really don't think of it as a place for investment versus other markets where they can grow and expand their companies. They think of it as a big tourism brand, as a big cultural brand. And so we've got to address the issue of not only having representation in global markets, but what a marketing campaign looks like, so that we can actually tell our story more effectively and bring more companies to the market through that. It would also be important to mention, you hit on a lot of things from a spatial efficiency perspective. Housing is very expensive here. One of the reasons why we have to compete with the big boys, the Chicagos, the New Yorks, and the other markets of the world is because we've priced ourselves out of being able to compete on the second tier. And so that's a real intentional effort around how do we make sure that this continues to be a place that's livable through quality transit, through quality housing, through quality infrastructure. And of course, the biggest factor facing our economy, one of the biggest factors facing our economy is climate action. I've met with companies that have said, well, Rod, I hear your business case, but you're not going to be around in 40 years. Miami's not going to be here. And when I tell them, not only will we be here, we will be here and we will be strong, they say, well, how do you know that? I said, well, because the county has the largest Office of Resiliency of any place in the country, because we've got groundbreaking research taking place at Florida International University at UM. We've got, great programs at Florida Memorial. We're making the smart steps that we need to confront our challenges. So to your core question, is there a challenge related to the economy in Florida? And yes, but it's not a Florida specific challenge. It's a global challenge. And I think we have to confront them with clarity and confront them head on, and we'll be fine, because we've got a lot of the secret sauce that's needed to actually, be successful and build the economy of the future.
Thank you for that, Rod. I want to dive a little bit into business involvement into the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. Some people may not know that there is a membership opportunity, and you have major companies that are a part of the Beacon Council. So if you can briefly talk about, do you have any, it's National Black Business Month. So do you have any Black-owned businesses that are members, and what would be an advantage for Black-owned businesses to join the Beacon Council?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Black-owned businesses that are members, and I apologize for the delay. I was muted, so I wanted to make sure you heard me. Yeah, we have a lot of Black-owned businesses that are members. WOT, which is run by Ashley Wright. As a matter of fact, our chair is an African-American woman who's a partner at Becker, a law firm here in town. And so we've got a lot of Black-owned business and a lot of Black leaders that are part of the Beacon Council. Remember the three things I said: sustainable, inclusive, and competitive. And one of the things where I think Beacon Council can do a better job, and we're intentionally confronting it, is how do we actually ensure that we're completely inclusive, and not just inclusive, but that Black-owned businesses have an opportunity to help shape the agenda. I want to be clear, we're not a chamber of commerce. Chambers of commerce are great organizations. They primarily focus on networking, and the question is, as you join chambers of commerce, what are the networking opportunities and how does that work? Our organization, when you become a member or an investor in the Beacon Council, you actually get to set the agenda around where this economy goes. So every time we bring businesses together, it's about how do we build an economy that's stronger for everybody. And so when businesses engage with us, they can work on topics ranging from workforce development, which is top of mind, to sector-specific areas. So there are a lot of opportunities to not only join the Beacon Council, but also to help shape the agenda for the future of where Miami is going.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about those opportunities and just maybe touch on some of your programs and upcoming events after this brief commercial break.
At DRT Behavioral Services, we provide culturally sensitive mental health evaluations with thorough treatment plans, incorporating alternative forms of wellness, not just Western traditional medicine. Besides medication management and psychotherapy, we provide education to people in the areas of minority mental health with classes on your diet's impact on mood and sleep hygiene for better rest. We also offer weight loss therapy, massages, and facials. Visit brainlovehelp.com today.
When quality care is a priority for you and your family, choose Pediatric and Family Health and Wellness Center.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás hoy?
Muy bien, gracias a Dios.
Okay. Bien. How are you?
Welcome!
Miami-Dade Group. We are the largest distributors of Black content in the state of Florida. We editorialize the success and the achievement of the Black South Florida community. Our platforms are print, digital, and broadcast. We are Black excellence.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
Welcome back, Rodrick. So let's briefly touch on some of your actual programs, upcoming events, or initiatives. Any that, I love that you mentioned the difference between the Beacon Council and the opportunity to help shape the agenda and the priorities versus, the comparison to being a chamber member. Can you touch on some of your initiatives and programs and even some of your upcoming events?
Yeah, so what's great is, and right now is a great time, to punctuate, becoming a part of the Beacon, because we're really going through the process of setting our agenda for the next 5 years. We're right in the throes of a strategic planning process where we're trying to figure out, what are going to be the major issues shaping Miami's economy in the next few years, and what's our role in it. And as part of that work, specifically as it relates to Black businesses, we're going to have a strand of work that's specifically focused on targeted urban areas. And for those of you who have been engaged in this for a long time, you know that Miami has a designation that's specifically focused on how do we ensure, low and moderate income communities, Black communities by and large, are able to participate in the economy. And Beacon has supported these efforts historically. But we're actually giving a much more intentional and focused effort around it now. So, for example, one of the things we're doing in October is we'll be going with our colleagues at the Miami-Dade Economic Advisory Trust. We're leading a joint mission going to Chicago specifically to recruit Black businesses. One of the other things that we're looking at is during the Art Basel season, we're going to be bringing some companies here that'll be diverse companies to showcase Miami and make the case for why those companies should invest here. We've also got our annual meeting coming up, which will be a great opportunity for those who really want to understand more about the Beacon Council's work and how they engage, to get kind of a firsthand view of the work that we've been leading, and that's November 9th. So more details about the where and all of that stuff will be forthcoming. But there are great opportunities to get involved. Everything from the work with small businesses to the work of our committees. We've got committees focused on things like the aviation sector, creative industries, logistics. So we try not to have a lot of fluff. We're really focused on, at the end of the day, you got to make money. We don't shy away from being an organization that's capitalist, and we want everybody to be able to participate fully in capitalism. Until we are able to create those channels, then we're not truly successful as an economy. So I invite all of you that are listening to engage in our work.
Absolutely. And, last question for you, Rodrick. How does one get involved or find out more about the Miami-Dade Beacon Council?
Yeah, we'd love for everyone to get involved. Feel free to go to our website, www.beaconcouncil.com. You can find out more information there, and it has all of our contact information and stuff. But I guarantee you, it's time well spent. And for those of you that are growing your businesses, it's a great way to not only shape the agenda for the future of the economy, but also to meet other business leaders in Miami-Dade County.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me, Rodrick Miller, President and CEO of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. And thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group, your go-to award-winning global marketing, advertising, PR agency. See you next time on Legacy Leaders.
Your organization's ability to thrive is dependent upon your vision, hard work, and the people you employ. Wolf Creek Consulting is a top-rated executive staffing firm specializing in placing professionals in finance, IT, healthcare, and construction. We're a boutique executive staffing firm that focuses on recruiting the best and brightest candidates that are not aggressively pursuing opportunities, but are keeping their options open. From recruitment to workforce management, we offer solutions that reduce your human cost and turnover. We work with clients under several different options to include permanent placement, temporary, and temp to hire. Our clients are our partners, and we work to understand the job requirements and skills required for a candidate to be successful. Intelligent Staffing Solutions. To learn more,